This is the story of a legendary sniper who could take out his target from several kilometers away, even with a blindfold over his eyes. But this sniper used to be an ordinary math teacher. He hated war and guns. However, one day, something happened in his life that turned him from a decent teacher into a ruthless sniper. The story begins in a small village in Ukraine, where we see a modest little house. A couple lives there, happily enjoying their life together. The man's name is Mykola, and his wife's name is Nastya. Nastya is a drawing artist who carves wood into various sculptures. Mykola is a teacher who teaches math to children at a nearby school. He is a very good teacher, and all the children like him, except for one named Evan. Evan is a very mischievous boy. Every day he bothers his teacher, Mykola, in class. Evan comes from a wealthy family, while Mykola is poor. That's why Evan mocks Mykola's appearance and clothing. He wants Mykola to get frustrated with his misbehavior and strike him, so he can complain and get Mykola fired from the school. But Mykola is patient and calm. He doesn't let Evan's words affect him and stays immersed in his own life. Since Mykola's house had no electronic devices like a TV, he wasn't aware of what was happening in the world. One day, while Mykola was at school, he saw a news report on TV that Russia had attacked Ukraine, killing many Ukrainian soldiers and taking control of several areas in the country. When Mykola came home in the evening, he found out that his wife was pregnant. Hearing this made him extremely happy because he was going to become a father. The two of them celebrated this joyous moment together. The next day, Mykola said goodbye to his wife and left on his bicycle to teach the children at school. On his way, he saw two soldiers who were smoking and wearing a strange uniform. That uniform didn't look anything like a Ukrainian soldier's uniform. Seeing this felt unusual to him, but Mykola thought maybe the government had changed the soldier's uniform, so he didn't pay much attention and quickly made his way to the school. But when he entered the school, he saw that the entire building was completely empty. Not a single student had come to school. Seeing this, he felt something was wrong. Then he turned on the TV and saw the news, which reported that Russian soldiers had entered Ukraine to take control of the country. At that moment, he realized that the soldiers he had seen on his way were actually Russians. This thought made him worried about his wife because she was alone at home. He immediately jumped on his bike and raced home, but by then, it was already too late. When Mykola reached home, he saw two soldiers viciously beating his wife. Mykola tried to protect her, but those soldiers beat him badly too. Mykola pleaded with them, saying, "Please, don't hurt my wife. She's pregnant." But the soldiers didn't listen. They kept beating both of them without mercy. A little while later, a Russian soldier searched Mykola's house. When he didn't find anything useful inside, he got angry and set the house on fire before leaving. Seeing her home burn, Nastya's face turned red with anger. She picked up stones and started throwing them at the Russian soldiers. Seeing this, one of the soldiers fired his gun, and Nastya died on the spot. Watching his wife die right in front of him, Mykola felt the ground slip from beneath his feet. He ran to her, held her in his arms, and broke down crying uncontrollably. After about 2 hours, two Ukrainian soldiers arrived and came to Mykola. When they saw his wife lying dead, they felt deep sorrow. They placed a hand on Mykola's shoulder and told him not to lose hope. The two soldiers began digging a grave for Mykola's wife. Once they finished, they told Mykola, "You can bury her here." Mykola was completely shattered by his wife's death. The Russian soldiers hadn't just killed his wife, they had also taken the life of his unborn child and burned his home to the ground. Now he was burning with the desire for revenge. He had only one goal left, to kill the Russian soldier who had shot his wife. There was only one way to take that revenge. He had to join the Ukrainian soldiers. So Mykola begged them, "Please, take me with you. I want to join the Ukrainian army." The soldiers agreed, helped him into their vehicle, and took him to the military base. Before leaving, Mykola held onto a small wooden statue his wife had made for his protection. When they reached the military base, their senior officer became angry at the two soldiers. He refused to recruit Mykola into the army because he suspected that Mykola might be a spy. The senior officer questioned both soldiers thoroughly about Mykola, and Mykola also explained everything to him, how the Russian soldiers had killed his wife and burned down his home. He told the senior officer that he had no reason left to live and promised that he would kill the Russian soldiers and help free his country. Hearing this, the senior officer finally agreed to recruit Mykola into the army. The very next day, his training began. Since Mykola was an ordinary man, he faced some difficulties during the training. He had spent his entire life teaching math and had no knowledge about guns. While all the soldiers were assembling their rifles, Mykola was a bit slow in comparison and ended up assembling his rifle last. Seeing this, his senior thought that Mykola would never become a good soldier. But Mykola didn't give up and stayed focused on his training. One night, Mykola told his senior not to call him by his name because his code name was Raven. Hearing this, everyone laughed at him, and the senior explained that a code name isn't given so easily. A soldier has to achieve something great for the country to earn one. Mykola didn't take their words negatively. Instead, he started working even harder. At night, when all the soldiers were asleep, Mykola would still stay up practicing and learning new things. One day, the senior officer said, "We're short on snipers." He then asked everyone, "How many of you want to become snipers?" A few soldiers stood up, and Mykola was among them because he also wanted to become a sniper. Seeing Mykola stand up, all the soldiers started laughing. The senior officer said to him, "You're not ready to be a sniper yet. You can't even assemble and disassemble a gun properly. Being a sniper is a whole different level." Mykola replied, "I can become a good sniper. I just need one chance to prove myself." Hearing this, the senior officer said, "All right, here you go. You have only 20 seconds to assemble this gun." To prove himself, Mykola tied a blindfold around his eyes. He quickly disassembled the gun and put it back together, and he finished the whole task in just 18 seconds. Everyone was shocked. The same soldiers who were laughing at him earlier were now clapping for him. The senior officer was also impressed, and seeing Mykola's skill, he allowed him to join the sniper training. During the training, Mykola was given an old model rifle, while everyone else received modern new weapons. Seeing this, Mykola also asked for a modern weapon. The senior officer told him, "If you want that gun, you'll have to prove yourself again." Mykola had no other option, so he took whatever he was given and walked away. During training, snipers are shown their target only once. After that, their eyes are covered with a blackboard, and they have to estimate the distance and shoot based purely on instinct. Some soldiers manage to pass this test, but when Mykola's turn comes, his shot misses just a little. He fails the test not because of lack of skill, but because the gun he was given was old and unreliable. Everyone knew that if Mykola had been given a new rifle, he would have hit the target perfectly. The next part of the training was even harder. This time, the snipers had to shoot their targets using only the light from a flare, and that too in the darkness of night. The senior officer fired the flare, and everyone took their shot. But not a single soldier hit the target. Everyone had already fired except Mykola. He didn't pull the trigger right away because he realized that aiming directly at the target in flare light wasn't possible. So instead, the moment the flare went up, he calculated the distance to his target, used his knowledge of math, and fired a perfect shot. The senior officer and the other soldiers were stunned. No one had ever completed this task before. Only Mykola had done it. The senior was so impressed that he gave him the code name Raven, exactly the name Mykola had hoped for. Days passed, and Mykola continued to train with all his heart. Finally, the day came when the results of their training were announced. The colonel saluted Mykola and informed him that he had passed the test. A few days later, the colonel came to Mykola again and told him to pack his gear because they were leaving for a mission. News had arrived that some Russian soldiers had taken over a checkpoint, and that's where the real story began.